Hi, good evening. Welcome to my Wellness Wednesday Instagram lives. And for those of you who don't know me, I think of a new followers to my page over the last week. You are very welcome. My name is Louisa Cooling, and I'm a nutrition and lifestyle coach. And I work with busy people and help them to make simple and sustainable changes to their diet and lifestyle so that they can improve their overall feelings of wealth as well maybe, and wellness. And whether I'm working with clients on a private or on a corporate basis, I always look across the four pillars of health, which are nutrition, exercise, sleep and self-care, because really it's when we start to make changes across these four pillars of health and get more of a balance in our lives that we really truly start to notice an uplift in our energy, our feelings of wellness, that we reach and we hit our health goals, whether that is better sleep, better able to manage stress, better ability to move, more exercise, or get to our happy weight. Whatever it is, we just need to start making changes across those four pillars of health. Now, my Wellness Wednesday Instagram lives are really for the purpose of chatting to a particular guru in some area that is connected to one of the four pillars. Now, this evening's guest, actually, I'm going to introduce her now in a moment and bring her on. You'll find out that we're discussing magnesium, and actually that fits across the four pillars of health, because without enough magnesium in our bodies, our nutrition is depleted and therefore we can't function as well as we might be able to do. We don't have as much energy, so we don't maybe move as much as we would like to. Sleep is definitely impacted by lack of magnesium, and also in times of stress and anxiety our stores of magnesium are depleted. So it's really important to have enough magnesium. But we're going to be talking to Meaghan Esser about this. Now, Meaghan, I'm really excited to bring her on, is the Managing Director of ITL Health, and they're based in Canada, and they manufacture the fantastic supplement Mag 365, which I take myself and which I think is amazing. And you probably have seen that we have teamed up to have a fantastic giveaway, and there is still plenty of time to enter. You just need to get your entries in by Friday of this week. So you'll find details on my stories of how you can enter, and also on my post from yesterday. So I am going to bring Meaghan in. I probably quickly see now. Yeah, she's there. Okay, I see the request in here. So hopefully it will work. And hello to everyone who's joining us. I see I've got a few waves. And oh, hi Meaghan. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I'm just gonna hopefully prop this up a little bit. Sorry for everybody for frightening them.
No,
So close to
it's hard
so
to
close.
position the phones.
I know it is. So you're based in Canada.
Yes, so it's still a nice sunny afternoon here.
Oh,
We
good for
haven't hit
you.
dusk yet.
Yeah, good for you. Well, it's unseasonably warm for us here still in Dublin, in Ireland, but it's dark outside. So that's the
We're
way it is.
having a very warm fall too, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's
It,
good.
it,
Well,
it definitely
Meaghan,
helps.
thank you so much for agreeing to do this Instagram live. I'm delighted, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I'm always excited to talk about magnesium.
Yeah, and it is a fantastic product. We'll talk about the giveaway again towards the end of the conversation. Um, but perhaps we just kick off in terms of, in general, why magnesium is so important.
That's a great question and a great point. So magnesium is responsible for 80% of biochemical reactions in the body, and that translates into about 1,000 biochemical reactions that cannot function properly without magnesium as a cofactor. So if your magnesium is deficient, it leaves a lot of holes, of what could go wrong in the body. Now, we're always going to have some levels of magnesium in our body. We just might not have enough to do all 1,000. So your body kind of obviously has to pick and choose what's most important for it to do at that time. So if you're really stressed, it might use that magnesium to help calm you down, but then you might start to get muscle cramps because you don't have enough magnesium to relax the muscles. Or if you encounter a virus, it might take that magnesium to help it activate vitamin D for immune system response, or also magnesium is important for the immune system. but then it might not leave you enough to shut down your natural central nervous system
Mm.
enough at night to get you into a proper sleep. So those are just a couple examples of, major things that magnesium does, but magnesium is very, very important for good health, foundational for good health. There are a lot of nutrients that rely on a certain one to work properly in the body. So for example, calcium needs magnesium, it needs vitamin D, it needs vitamin K2 to work properly in the body. But magnesium is one of the only minerals that barely needs anything else. It's the foundational one. It's the one that's needed for every other nutrient to function in the body. Now, there is a bit of exception with vitamin D because studies show that if you have higher vitamin D levels, then you have better intestinal magnesium absorption. And obviously, there's still so much to learn, but
Okay.
magnesium is critical to good health.
Okay. So I'm a nutrition and lifestyle coach. You are a nutritionist also. And obviously, our first port of call will always be to food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there are great sources of magnesium that we can get through our food, such as dark chocolate and avocado and nuts and seeds. Yeah, we love that. And the dark chocolate. And the dark chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that time of the evening where I go for my dark chocolate, for my
Yeah, it's good
magnesium.
for my health.
Exactly. Um, but sometimes we may not get enough from magnesium. So maybe it would be interesting to talk about how would a person know that they are perhaps deficient in magnesium.
So I'm just going to backtrack a tiny little bit because, like you said, we love to say get it through your food. Now, this is very important. It's important to eat a healthy diet. Like you said, your dark chocolate, your nuts and seeds, your avocados, your whole grains, your leafy greens. All of those foods are high in magnesium, but there's so many factors that cause us to be depleted in magnesium.
Mm.
Number one, magnesium, if you test the soil levels, it doesn't have the value that it did 50 years ago. Number two, food processing, any one in a box or even our own cooking methods can deplete magnesium. So let's say we boil broccoli, the magnesium goes out in the water. But then to complicate matters, if we eat certain things raw, then there's oxalates in those food, and to get out of the body, oxalates will bind to magnesium to pull themselves out of the body. So
Mm-hmm.
it gets very complicated because it feels like no matter which way you look at it, it's never perfect for the world of magnesium.
Mm.
And so that's not to give up. That's not to say, oh, I'm not even going to try to get magnesium from my food, but it's just to say those are a couple of reasons why it's difficult to get magnesium from food. Not impossible, but you really have to know your facts about what magnesium amounts are in certain foods and how to properly prepare those foods for maximum magnesium absorption. So to actually answer your question, what are some magnesium deficiency symptoms? Muscle cramps are a big one. Magnesium is needed to relax muscles. So if you feel any spasms, any twitches, any restlessness, restless legs, it's a very, very good sign that you're deficient in magnesium.
Mm.
And that includes restless sleep. Sometimes we don't even know we're super restless in the night, but our partner might say, you were flip-flopping around last night. Or if you can't quite get into a deep sleep and you're uncomfortable, you just find yourself moving a lot, that's a sign that your central nervous system is not, getting shut down properly, which magnesium is essential to do. If you feel like you have difficulty handling stress, that's
Mm.
a big thing with magnesium. There's a big vicious cycle. When we're stressed, we use more magnesium in our body. But then when we have lower magnesium, we feel higher stress. We feel like we can't handle stress as much. So
Mm.
that's a really important distinction. Any hormonal issues, magnesium is really important for the hormones. So whether it's PMS, period cramps, menopause, sex drive, for men and women, magnesium is extremely important. So those are a few major telltale signs that you could be deficient in magnesium.
Okay. And we've had a few people join us. You're all very welcome. For any of you who just come on, this is Meaghan Esser, who's the Managing Director of ITL Health. And we're talking all things magnesium.
Yes, and if anybody has any questions, don't
Yes.
hesitate to interrupt my blabbering on. I could talk about magnesium all day.
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose the other thing as well is that people can get tested for magnesium levels if they're going for their MOT with their GP or their doctor on an annual basis. It's no harm to ask for magnesium to be tested as well.
Right, but the problem with that is that actually less than one, I'm not sure if your testing in Ireland is different. You know, our doctors here test our blood for certain levels of nutrients, which is, you know, the only way they can really test, but less than 1% of magnesium found in your body is found in your blood.
Okay.
So if you're deficient by a blood test, you're like crazy deficient, and the doctor will probably put you on an IV for magnesium because it's so important to have magnesium for your heart because your heart is the biggest muscle. So blood work actually isn't an accurate way of telling magnesium levels in the body. Again, just to reiterate, because less than 1% of total magnesium in our body is found in our blood. Most of it is found in our bones and in our tissues, in our muscles, and
Okay.
there's not an accurate way to test for that. You know, there are some testing methods. Live blood cell analysis can indicate magnesium level. I'm not sure how common that is in Ireland as an alternative method. Hair analysis testing is said to be, you know, some level of accuracy. As our hair grows, we can test the mineral
Hmm.
content of what was in our body. But because it's hard to accurately test our magnesium levels, the most accurate way is to go by deficiency symptoms. And
Hmm.
then beyond that, as long as you're getting a high quality, so well absorbed magnesium, if those deficiency symptoms start to get better, then it's a telltale sign that you were in fact deficient in
Okay.
magnesium.
And I just see a question coming in. Well, we have two questions coming in. Just before we answer those, because they're very interesting. You mentioned leg cramps, and sort of, you know, that tired leg, which a lot of teenagers or growing children can experience. So, is it safe for teenagers to take magnesium as a supplement?
Yes, it's safe for all ages. You know, our labels will have to say what the government allows
Yeah.
us to say, but it is safe for all ages. And if I can just really give a really quick story, I have he's now 3, but he started at the age of 1 with something called breath holding spells. And it's a condition that they hold their breath, and when they get upset, they don't breathe, and then they literally pass out because, you know, they're so upset. And it was, you know, it's a very difficult condition to deal with because them passing out, they come to right away, but he would fall over and clunk his head if nobody was there to catch him. And so, you know, we're dealing with a lot of stress with that. And once I started supplementing him with magnesium at the age of 1,
Hmm.
those breath holding spells went from once a day to once a week.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of reports of people like a good friend of mine, child has a lot of trouble focusing, you know, suspected ADHD, and she started giving him our kids Meg 365, and she got such good results she started taking our adult version at the same time. So and then again, like you said, to support growth, so they're going to get muscle cramps, growing pains, and
Yeah.
they need magnesium for that. And
Okay.
especially a teenager's diet, even maybe more than a child's diet, will likely be deficient in
Okay,
magnesium.
great. Okay, so there was one question there. Can you recommend a good magnesium supplement, Megan?
So I'm a little biased because, you know, at ITL Health, we focus on high quality magnesium supplements and the best absorbed in the market. So
Yes.
we have 2 main products. We have our Mag 365, which is a magnesium powder. So this is in magnesium citrate form. It's 2 ingredients, and when you mix those ingredients with water, it activates it into ionic magnesium citrate. The hotter the water, the faster the activation. And so what this does is it helps basically bind all of the ions together to make it an active form for your body. So if you were to get this in a capsule, it wouldn't act the same in your body because it wouldn't be activated by water and it wouldn't be ionic. So that's a really important distinction that a lot of people have a hard time understanding. But this basically takes magnesium citrate, is you know, maybe mildly absorbed, like or it's mildly absorbed, yeah, version of magnesium on the market,
Mm,
to almost 100% absorbed. So this is our flagship product. It's our bestseller. This one will absorb very well. So this is one that I would highly recommend. However, if you prefer capsules, we have our Prismag. This is a magnesium bisglycinate capsule product. So some people don't like powders for different reasons. And as I mentioned, we can't put that into a powder because then it lacks the water to activate and it wouldn't be as well absorbed. So the next best well absorbed form of magnesium is magnesium bisglycinate.
okay.
This is magnesium attached to glycine molecules. A glycine is the smallest of the amino acids. So basically, the glycine takes magnesium along for the ride, gets absorbed on a cellular level at the top of the small intestine, and it goes to work immediately in your
Yeah.
body. And we actually won an award, the Best Sleep Aid Award for Prismag by Irish readers from Root Health magazine. So this one is also a really nice one to help you sleep,
Yeah.
which is a segue into the next question that was asked before, is the best time of day to take magnesium. A bit of a loaded question because it does help you sleep, most people like to take it at night, and most people find a strong benefit from taking it at night. However, magnesium is also good for ATP energy production. So on a cellular level, if you don't have magnesium, your cells cannot produce energy. So most people, like I said, get a benefit from taking it at night, but there is the odd person, and I am one of them, that feels energy from taking magnesium. And when I take it at night, I actually don't sleep as well. However, I do take it in the morning, and then I notice that my sleep is better at night. So if I miss a day of taking my magnesium in the morning, I won't sleep as well at night.
That's
So
really interesting. Yes, because
yeah, so it's still going to work to help,
yeah,
but just not at that time.
Yes, that's so interesting because I do know there are some, again, this whole thing about supplements, there are so many different types of magnesium supplements, and I do think it's really quality here in terms of getting the right one, getting one that is easily and highly absorbed, and you may have to pay a little bit more for it, but it makes all the difference. That's the first thing I would say. And some of the magnesiums even have B vitamins in them, which again, we know B vitamins are very important for energy, so taking those close to bedtime can actually really upset your sleep if you were taking magnesium purely to help you sleep, which I believe that it does. But it's funny, but you take it in the morning. I split my intake between morning and evening.
My sister does that. She also works with the company. She actually takes the Mag 365 powder in the morning and the Prismag at night. She splits her dose that way. But I always just say, bottom line, find out what works for you. Magnesium does not make you drowsy. And that's sometimes what people think because they hear it helps with sleep. They think of it as like a valerian or chamomile to kind of lull them. It doesn't make you drowsy, but it works on your nervous system to help you relax.
Yes.
So even if you are a person that struggles with anxiety or high stress job, that's another reason why somebody might take it in the morning or afternoon to kind of help keep them calm when they're facing their tasks at hand.
And that's exactly why I might split it sometimes, just in terms of there's a heavy day ahead or whatever it might be. I find the benefit from taking it earlier in the day. So that's really interesting. So let's take it back. So let's assume that we think we're deficient, right? We're not quite sure. People might find or may think that there might be some harm from taking too much. How much do they take? I think that was one of the questions there. So what advice would you give in that regard?
So that's where magnesium is really nice as well, because it's a water soluble mineral. So it doesn't store in our body. And it's also nice in a sense because our body will let us know when it's had enough or too much. So you will get loose bowels from taking too much magnesium, no matter the form. Magnesium citrate can cause loose bowels more than magnesium bisglycinate just in general. But no matter what magnesium, if you take too much of, your body says, I can't use this all and I'm going to get rid of it. And it gets rid of it through the bowels.
Sorry,
so now the only...
Which one then? Is that the flagship magnesium, the tub, are you saying could cause loose bowels? Which again, it might suit some people. I know we're not going to talk about
exactly.
bowel movement.
This one will act on the bowels more than the bisglycinate. Now that's not, if you don't have problems with constipation, that doesn't mean it's going to give you loose bowels. But often problems of constipation are linked to magnesium deficiency. The bowel's not relaxed enough, not as much water in the bowel, and that one will act on that a little bit more than the capsules. However, it doesn't mean that you'll get loose bowels.
Sorry, which is a double benefit for somebody who may be having a bit of an issue there at the moment. That is just something that would help them. Yes, okay, great.
For sure. And then the nice thing about the powder is you can increase your dosage. So if you're still struggling with going to the bathroom, you can just increase your dosage a little bit more until you get those loose bowels. So, or not loose bowels, bowel movement.
That would mean, sorry now, but just for the listeners so that would mean that you know that you can't overdose on it because your bowels will change and you'll know that you've kind of reached your limit as such. Yes.
Exactly. And the cool thing about magnesium is you can kind of play around with your dosage depending what's going on in your life. So my father, actually, he was the one that created this formula. He unfortunately went through a very stressful time after creating this formula. And I've never seen him so stressed. He was taking a couple tablespoons of this per day because he just needed so much to deal with what his body was dealing with. So if you are going through a particularly stressful time in your life, you can increase your magnesium to help your body deal with that, because you do use magnesium when you're more stressed. So that's where it's really nice too. Your body can tell you. Now, the only caveat to that is magnesium is filtered through the kidneys first. So if you have problems with your kidneys and you have kidney disease, you should not, you shouldn't supplement with magnesium, and you shouldn't kind of play around with your dosage because your kidneys might not filter it properly.
Okay.
It's very rare. I mean, kidney disease and, kidney problems, they're not that common, but, just as a disclaimer, you don't want to fiddle around with your dosage if you have any kidney problems. But
Okay.
barring that, if you're taking the capsules, you can take an extra capsule, see how you feel the next day. Or like I said, with the powder, you can
Okay.
just kind of quarter teaspoon at a time.
So it is available over the counter, but are there any circumstances, any medications or any contraindications that would be advisable for a person not to take it? Or should, if you're on medication, should you be checking with your doctor to make sure it's okay to take magnesium?
So it really depends on the medication you're taking. I always recommend just discussing it with your pharmacist. They tend to know a little bit more about the contraindications than doctors do. There's a few things like magnesium actually helps regulate blood pressure. So if you're on high blood pressure medication, magnesium could help regulate your blood pressure more. So what that means is you might not need as much blood pressure medication. But if you're still taking the same amount, your blood pressure might start to go a little bit low. So there's really no contraindications, but it is just good to discuss with your pharmacist to make sure that they don't want to adjust anything, or, especially when it comes to blood thinners are a big no-no to take supplements with, right? So, kind of as a disclaimer, we always say check with your pharmacist, but because magnesium is a mineral that is naturally occurring in food, it's rare to have a strong contraindication.
Okay. And if you have low blood pressure, by nature, is it going to impact that? Is it going to drop your blood pressure even more?
Sorry, I was just reading the questions. I realized they weren't moving on mine.
I'm
If you have
checking
low
them.
blood pressure,
Yeah.
it will not drop your blood pressure because it regulates your blood pressure.
Okay.
So it doesn't, a lot of people think it lowers your blood pressure, but it doesn't, it regulates it. And that's interesting too, because my husband used to get very dizzy when standing up. He had low blood pressure all the time. And then I started making him a cup of magnesium every day. And, he's not a big supplement taker. And then I kind of joked. I said, oh, you haven't complained about getting dizzy when you're standing up lately. And he said, oh, yeah, I don't get that anymore.
Okay. That's it.
Could it be the Mag
Could
365?
be. Could be. And of course, the other thing is that, if people are on supplements, it's generally recommended that they would not stay on them long term, that they would take them for perhaps up to 12 weeks and then come off, etc., etc. Is it different with magnesium?
It is very different. Sorry, I'm just making sure we're not missing any of these questions.
No, I have them. I've gone back over them. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay,
There's one or
awesome.
two there.
You're
Yeah,
better than
I'll
me.
throw them at you. You just answer.
It's hard when it's white and then it's against my shirt and I can't see
I
it.
know. Yeah.
No, magnesium is something that you would always supplement with because uh, you might change your dosage if you're quite deficient. You might get your stores up a little bit to make sure that you have enough magnesium. But because it's so common to not get enough magnesium in our diet, that we want to keep, and magnesium basically, like we talked about, it's water soluble. It's kind of used in that 24-hour cycle. We want to keep replenishing our body with it.
Yes.
So it's something that you would stay on longer term. You might not need as much, but you might. It also depends on how much stress, how active you are, because even being active will use more magnesium because your muscles are being used more.
And of course, for those, water soluble is just purely that if something is fat soluble, it can be built up and stored in the fat cells in your body. And that's why sometimes people might say too much vitamin D, it could be stored in the cells and it can become toxic. But anything that is water soluble means that it is just passed out through the body. If you take too much of it, you can't take too much of it. So that's just to explain that. Somebody is asking, how large are the capsules?
The capsules are not really large, and actually, if you read the label, it recommends 3 to 4 at night, and a lot of people say 3 to 4, I have to take all that, but the fact of the matter is you can just only fit so much magnesium into a small capsule. So they're a standard size. They're not anything really large. We do guarantee all our products, so if you wanted to try that one and you had a hard time swallowing it, we would take a return. We do offer it in a powdered form on our website only, but it does not taste good. So that's for people who are a little bit more hardcore, want it to be more economical because we can manufacture the powder much cheaper. But yeah, in answer to the question, it's not that large, and that's why you need to take 3 or 4 of them in order to get the proper dosage of magnesium.
Okay. There is another question about what type of magnesium is the product, citrate, glycinate, etc. But you have covered that off earlier on.
Yeah, so the Mag 365 is citrate, and the capsules are bisglycinate. So it's same as glycinate, but bisglycinate means there's 2 glycine molecules for 1 magnesium attachment.
Okay. And really technical, same person asking, which of your products has threonate, is it?
Right. So we actually don't have any products with 3 and 8. We've had a few requests for this over the years. 3 and 8 was it's a patented form of magnesium. There are some convincing studies on 3 and 8, but of course, when you patent something, you're the one that does the studies. So there haven't been any peer reviewed or third party to back up the information. And because it's a patented version and because, it costs a lot of money to do what they did, it comes at a very high price. And at this point, we haven't seen enough evidence of our products not working as well to justify the high price tag on the products, which obviously, is partly that the consumer has to pay for. But at this point, we don't have any plans to do 3 and 8 because we have not seen enough data to see that it's worth the price.
That's fair enough. Will we talk a little bit about Mag 365 BF? The one that you have kindly put up 2 large tubs of it for 2 lucky viewers or 2 lucky followers or whatever it might be. So it's a really interesting product.
Yeah, so this one it has the same, like if you took this one, you'd get the same full dose of magnesium, but it has a few other kind of what I call goodies. So especially for women, let's say between the ages of 30 and 50, 60, even men, but it's especially really good for women because we have to start thinking about our bone health. And bone health is so much more complicated than just calcium. For a long time, doctors said, oh, bone's made up of calcium. Take calcium if you need strong bones, but they neglected all the research, or maybe the research wasn't out yet, of that calcium needs vitamin D, vitamin K2, and magnesium to be properly absorbed. And without those nutrients, calcium can store in the body in your arteries, which causes atherosclerosis, which we know leads to heart attacks. It can build up in the kidneys, which is kidney stones, bone spurs, which can cause forms of arthritis. So there's many places that it can build up dangerously in the body, all the while you're not getting stronger bones. So the BF stands for bone formula. We're not allowed to title it bone formula. We've also heard people call it best friend because it helps their moods so much, especially hormonal moods. So it has the vitamin D, the vitamin K2. We have a version with calcium. So if you want calcium as well, the blue one has calcium. But according to our research, a lot of people aren't actually deficient in calcium. They're deficient in the cofactors to absorb calcium. And then we also have a few other goodies there.
It's such an important thing that people maybe don't realize that, and even if they're not taking dairy, there's calcium in so many other foods, and we generally do get enough. But it's exactly what you said. It's making sure that calcium is directed into the bones, into the teeth, and not to areas that we don't want it to go to, where it can form plaques and blockages. And I just think that's something that not everyone is aware of, but it's such an important point.
Especially because at this age, we've been hearing for years, menopause, bone, calcium, bones, calcium, bones, calcium. And when you actually look at calcium, as I mentioned, magnesium will leave your body. Calcium doesn't. Your body will store it and it will recycle it for the next day. And calcium is actually not nearly as deficient in our food as magnesium is. So, and K2 is hard to get from food. Vitamin D is hard to get from food. So it's more the missing links to help absorb that calcium. And in this product, we also have a few other goodies. Zinc, it helps your immune system. It can help your hormones. B6 to help with stress. And there's one more, vitamin C to help your immune system, and boron. Boron is very important also for bone health, and it's one that we will start hearing more about as more and more research has shown how important boron is for strong bones.
It sounds like an amazing little tub. I'm just wondering, if a person is already supplementing with vitamin C or D or zinc or any of the ones that you have said are included in the Best Friend formula, is there a chance of over supplementing?
It really depends on how much you're taking. So in a dosage of this, you would get 500 units of vitamin D, which isn't a lot. Now, research is showing that we actually don't need that much vitamin D as long as, again, we have the proper cofactors, magnesium and vitamin D, to put it in the right spot, sorry, vitamin K2 to put it in the right spot. Nothing in this formula other than magnesium is in a really high amount, but it is always good to check with your nutritionist, your naturopath, or even send us an email. We can be reached at info@itlhealth.com, or you can use the contact us form on the website just to make sure that you're not getting too much, because certain ingredients like zinc, if you're taking another supplement, could start to build up in the body.
Okay, that's great. That's really, I don't know if we have any more questions. If anyone has any sorts of questions for Meaghan, somebody's after saying, actually, I'd like to order, but I have to leave now. Please, can you send me the link? Thank you. What's that? I'll take down that address. Will be
Okay,
gone.
you'll take care of sending them. Thanks.
Blimey, it's a bungalow. That's their hashtag. Okay.
That's great. We don't use the word blimey in Canada, so I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if anyone has any queries afterwards, they can DM me and I can pass them on to Meaghan, or you can DM directly at mag365EU, which is your handle. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So in terms of the giveaway then, so all people have to do is to, I think it's yesterday's post or the day before, it's just the previous post on my grid. It's probably on your grid as well. All you have to do is like the post, comment the friend that you'd like to win the other tub, and you get 5 extra entries if you post it to your stories and you tag both of us as well. It's all very commercial, isn't it? But still, it's a fantastic prize. I'd love to be entering myself.
Yeah, I don't have it here, but you get the you get the large size of the BF,
yeah.
So you get a 2 month supply.
Yeah, 2 months, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great product. It's actually funny because it's not our best seller, but everybody, especially I think every female that works at the company, it's the one we all take. It's our favorite.
Yeah. Okay,
so it's a really fantastic. Nice one.
So I know that the instructions, not the instructions, the directions for the dosage. Oh my God, I forget my words here. I need magnesium. They would be sort of a lot lower than what you have spoken about this evening. So is that because people would start off with a lower dose, or you have to cover yourselves, or what advice would you give?
That's a funny question, because actually if you look at our Irish label versus our UK label, our Canadian label, or US label, you'll see that the recommended dosage is about a third lower than all of the other markets. So we have to comply with FSAI guidelines. You know, we have to go with what they say the recommended dose is. So that's what we do. If you were to, like I said, if you were to buy a tub on a different market, you would see that, you know, you could try taking more magnesium. So we like to say, though, for anybody, listen to your body. You know, if you consider your magnesium deficiency symptoms and consider what's going on, you can see how much magnesium is helping you, and experiment and kind of know if you need a little bit more magnesium. There are days that I know I need a little bit more magnesium, and there are other days, you know, that I don't feel like I need as much. I'll still take my regular dose. But if you really do listen to your body, and I know that, you know, Louisa, you're very in tune, or you're helping your clients be very in tune to these things, you know, the kind of body, mind, spirit connection, which is so important and which is so easy to lose in our busy lives. But if we do stop and listen to our body, we can easily tell, you know, if we would benefit from some more. And the nice thing is it doesn't hurt to try. And
absolutely. And I would have, you know, introduced it perhaps to some clients, and definitely they have noticed an improvement, particularly in sleep. Just something has come into my mind: lack of magnesium as well, for anybody who might suffer with headaches or migraines. Sometimes, magnesium and CoQ10 together can sometimes support a reduction, in headaches. And again, CoQ10 is a supplement that some people may be on, or you can sometimes find it if you're taking omega-3, they'll pair it with CoQ10 as well. So that's just something interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And magnesium can be really important for even not migraines, but headaches, tension headaches. Magnesium can also help hormonal headaches because it helps the hormonal balance, and because it helps the nervous system. So, you know, it's helping the nerves function properly. It's helping the muscles relax. And those are 2 big factors. And it's helping balance the hormones. So those are 3 big factors with headaches and migraines. Yeah.
It's a wonder. Nature's tranquilizer. Isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also been called nature's anxiety medication.
Okay.
Which I guess they kind of go hand in hand, tranquilizer and anxiety medication.
Well, absolutely. A spoon of magnesium, 5 or 10 minutes of meditation, a walk in nature, and Bob's your uncle. There you go.
A hug from a friend.
Absolutely. Well, listen, have we covered everything? Is there anything else that you would like to add, Meaghan, that I haven't maybe asked you, or?
I think that's everything. I just I know I kind of mentioned it, but just also to reiterate, magnesium is showing a lot of new research that it's very important for vitamin D activation in the body. So without magnesium, vitamin D will not be utilized in the body. It is a necessary to have vitamin D, to have
Yes.
magnesium if you want your vitamin D to go to work. So we have a lot of Meg 365 users, and that's fine. You know, you take vitamin D, you take your magnesium. It doesn't have to be taken at the exact moment. But we hear from a lot of people saying, oh, like my father-in-law takes vitamin D or my mom takes vitamin D, but they don't take magnesium. So just encouraging, if you to help protect your loved ones, especially, you know, as this pandemic still keeps rearing its ugly head. We have our magnesium if they're taking vitamin D, or we also have a product that blends them all. It's called Vitamin D Plus for people who don't like to supplement with a lot of things, and they can just, you know, take 2 of these a day
Okay.
to get everything that they need. And this has the same bisglycinate that Prismag has, so it will also help them sleep.
Yeah.
The bonus.
Yeah. And for any viewers in Ireland and the UK, Mag 365 does have a rep here in Ireland. It's obviously can be bought in a lot of our chemists and so on, but you can order online, you can get it delivered. There's all sorts of things. So it is fantastic. And I would recommend it myself.
Yes, we're in most health food stores in Ireland, and we do sell
Yes.
direct. We encourage you to go to to support your local health food store. And since COVID pandemic as well, there's a lot more online sales of local health food stores as well. So, you know,
Yeah, perfect.
we like to support all of the retailers that we can.
Yeah, that's great. So Meaghan, I don't think we have any more questions. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me and our following this evening and tell us and enlighten us about the benefits of magnesium.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you through this whole process. And thank you, everybody, so much for listening. And as Louisa mentioned, any questions you have, don't hesitate to DM us on our channel or our website, or email me at info@itlhealth.com, whatever your preference is. And you'll notice that all of our products are guaranteed, like I mentioned, and that's on the store level or if you order direct from us. So if the product, you know, isn't working for you, just talk to us and we'd be happy to process a return.
Absolutely, Meaghan. Thank you. And again, if anyone would like more information in terms of working with me, finding out what I do, and it is very much a holistic approach to improving health, then there's a link in my bio. You can book yourself in for a complimentary health and energy review. I don't have any slots left for tomorrow, but I do have for next Thursday. So you're very welcome to avail of those. And I will be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock again. A very interesting topic on EFT tapping. So if any of you have or haven't heard, I strongly advise you to come along and to join in the conversation. It is a great way to help us manage stress, a great form of self-care, and it has many, many benefits to health. So I hope you can join me then.
Thank you so much, Louisa. As Louisa mentioned, I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen her as a practitioner, I was saying what great energy she has, and she's helped so many people. So if you're on the fence, don't hesitate to get in touch with her. She'll be able to really help you along your health goals.
Thank you, Meaghan. That's lovely.
Thank you so much for your time, Louisa. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.